Have you ever wondered why some mornings feel harder as you get older, or why a simple routine could unexpectedly turn risky? One morning, a 72-year-old woman died unexpectedly because of an unnoticed error, a mistake so common that many people in their 70s make every single day. As we grow older, even habits that once seemed harmless can become risky, and those small choices may add up to put our health in danger. In this discussion, we're looking at 4 morning habits that might be harming you without you even realizing it. These mistakes can affect your heart, circulation, balance, and even your brain function. The unfortunate truth is that most people over 70 commit at least one of these errors each morning. The good news is that once you know about them, they are easy to correct, and avoiding them might be the difference between leading a healthy, active life and facing a serious emergency. You need to watch until the end because we'll reveal a rarely discussed yet highly hazardous mistake that could change how you start your day forever. Before we begin, I would appreciate it if you like this video. You can help me continue to spread the old age lesson. If you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. If you like this video, please comment number 1. If you don't like it, comment number 0 to let me know, so I can make a better video for you. Now let's get started. The first mistake is getting out of bed too quickly. At first glance, it might seem like a harmless, everyday action, something so routine it barely registers as a decision. But for older adults, this seemingly simple act of leaping out of bed can set off a cascade of physiological responses that lead to dizziness, a sudden and dangerous drop in blood pressure, and even life-altering falls. As we age, our bodies undergo subtle yet significant changes that affect how efficiently they adapt to sudden movements. The circulatory system, in particular, slows down, and the mechanisms that regulate blood flow don't respond with the same vigor they did in our younger years. When you've been lying flat for hours during sleep, blood naturally pools in the lower extremities, your legs, feet, and abdomen. If you abruptly sit up or stand, gravity pulls that blood downward even faster, and your heart and brain may not get the oxygen-rich supply they need right away. This phenomenon, known as orthostatic hypotension, is more common than most people realize and becomes increasingly prevalent with age. Let's pause for a moment and reflect. Think back to the last time you climbed out of bed in the morning. Did you ever feel a fleeting wave of unsteadiness wash over you? Perhaps your vision blurred for a split second, or you instinctively reached for the nightstand to brace yourself. Maybe you dismissed it as grogginess or a lack of coffee, but those sensations are your body's way of sending a subtle SOS. It's telling you that it wasn't quite prepared for the rapid shift in position. For younger people, the body typically compensates quickly. Blood vessels constrict, the heart pumps a little harder, and equilibrium is restored in an instant. But as we age, those compensatory mechanisms grow sluggish. Blood pressure can plummet, leaving you lightheaded or, in more severe cases, causing you to faint entirely. And when that happens, the risk of falling skyrockets. Consider someone like Oliver, a 74-year-old retiree with a lifetime of habits he never thought twice about. For decades, his morning routine was the same. The alarm would buzz, he'd swing his legs over the edge of the bed, and he'd stand up in one fluid motion, ready to tackle the day. It was second nature, a ritual as ingrained as brushing his teeth. He never considered that this habit could betray him, until one crisp autumn morning when it did. As he stood up, a sudden fog enveloped his mind. His vision dimmed, his legs wobbled, and for a terrifying split second, he blacked out. Instinctively, he reached out, but there was nothing to grab. He crumpled backward, landing awkwardly on the mattress. He was lucky, his bed broke his fall, sparing him a cracked skull or a fractured hip. But the incident shook him to his core. What if he'd been standing a step further from the bed? What if he'd hit the hardwood floor or the sharp corner of his nightstand? That single moment of vulnerability forced him to confront a truth he'd ignored. His body wasn't as resilient as it used to be, and his old habits needed to evolve. Shaken but determined, Oliver decided to rethink his approach. He did some research and consulted his doctor, who explained how orthostatic hypotension works and why it's such a common culprit behind falls in older adults. Armed with this knowledge, Oliver crafted a new morning routine, one designed to ease his body into the day rather than jolting it awake. Now, when his eyes flutter open, he doesn't rush. Instead, he follows a deliberate 3-step process. First, he lies still for a moment, taking 5 slow, deep breaths while gently wiggling his fingers and toes. This simple act jumpstarts his circulation, coaxing blood to flow more evenly throughout his body. Second, he rolls onto his side with care, propping himself up on one elbow before easing into a seated position with his feet flat on the floor. He takes his time here, letting gravity do its work gradually. Third, before standing, he pauses for a good 10 to 15 seconds. He rotates his ankles in small circles, stretches his arms overhead, and gives his muscles and blood vessels a chance to catch up. Only then does he rise, standing slowly and deliberately, ensuring his balance is solid before taking his first step. This shift in routine might sound trivial, almost comically cautious to someone who's never experienced a fall or a dizzy spell. But for Oliver and countless others, it's a game changer. Those extra few seconds of mindfulness have dramatically reduced his risk of dizziness, imbalance, and the falls that so often follow. And falls, as you may know, are no small matter for older adults. They're one of the leading causes of injury in people over 65, frequently resulting in broken bones, hips, wrists, and shoulders being the most common, lengthy hospital stays, and a downward spiral of reduced mobility that can rob someone of their independence. A single fall can mark the beginning of a steep decline, both physically and emotionally, as fear of falling again keeps people sedentary and isolated. The statistics are sobering. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, more than 1 in 4 older adults falls each year, and 1 in 5 of those falls causes a serious injury. For someone like Oliver, a few moments of patience each morning are a small price to pay to avoid becoming part of that statistic. If you're someone who's always bolted out of bed without a second thought, this might be a good time to reconsider. Age creeps up on all of us, and with it comes the need to adapt. You don't have to overhaul your entire morning. Just permit yourself to linger in bed for an extra 30 seconds. Use that time to breathe, stretch, and let your body wake up at its own pace. It's not about laziness. It's about self-preservation. Those fleeting moments of care could be the difference between starting your day with confidence and starting it with a trip to the emergency room. In the grand scheme of things, a few seconds is nothing. But in the context of your health and safety, it might just be everything. If you are still watching this video and finding these lessons useful, please comment number 1 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Thank you for your valuable time. The second mistake is skipping water in the morning. One of the most commonly overlooked yet potentially dangerous habits, particularly for individuals over the age of 70, is neglecting to drink water immediately after waking up. At first glance, hydration might not seem like an urgent priority compared to, say, eating breakfast or taking medications. However, this small oversight can have surprisingly significant consequences. Consider what happens while you sleep. For 6 to 8 hours or more, your body goes without any fluid intake. During this time, your organs don't simply shut down, they continue functioning diligently. Your heart keeps pumping, your lungs keep drawing breath, and your kidneys filter waste. Meanwhile, you lose water through subtle but constant processes like respiration. Every exhale carries moisture, and perspiration, even if you don't wake up sweaty. By the time your eyes open in the morning, your body is already operating in a mildly dehydrated state. This dehydration isn't always obvious, but it has real effects. After a night without water, your blood becomes slightly thicker due to reduced fluid volume, which forces your heart to work harder to maintain circulation. Your brain, muscles, and joints may feel the strain too, as they rely on adequate hydration to function smoothly. For older adults, whose bodies are less efficient at regulating fluid balance, this can be especially risky. Failing to replenish those lost fluids promptly can contribute to elevated blood pressure, sluggish circulation, and even a heightened risk of serious cardiovascular events like strokes or heart attacks. Research has shown that dehydration increases blood viscosity, which can strain blood vessels and exacerbate existing conditions, something particularly concerning for those with age-related health challenges. Pause for a moment and think about how you feel when you first wake up. Do you ever notice a dry mouth, a slight headache, stiff or achy joints, or a sense of fatigue that lingers longer than it should? These are often subtle signals from your body crying out for water. Now, if your habit is to shuffle to the kitchen and pour a cup of coffee as your first drink of the day, you might unintentionally be making matters worse. Coffee, while delicious and stimulating, is a diuretic, meaning it encourages your body to expel even more fluid. Without water to offset this, you're essentially digging yourself deeper into that dehydration hole before the day has even begun. Let's consider a real-world example. Take Lucas, a 76-year-old retiree with a lifelong love of strong black coffee. For decades, his morning routine was the same: roll out of bed, brew a pot, and sip it slowly while reading the paper. But as he entered his mid-70s, he started noticing troubling changes. Some mornings, he'd feel dizzy when standing up, or he'd struggle with a foggy mind that made it hard to focus on his crossword puzzles. Occasionally, he'd even get mild headaches that lingered for hours. Concerned, he mentioned this to his doctor during a routine checkup. The advice was simple but eye-opening: drink a glass of water before anything else each morning. Lucas was skeptical. Could something so basic make a difference? But he gave it a shot. Within a couple of weeks, he was amazed at the results. The dizziness faded, his mind felt sharper, and his energy levels were noticeably higher. Even his headaches, which he'd chalked up to aging, became a rare occurrence. Why does this work? Water is the unsung hero of bodily function, especially as we age. It thins the blood, improving circulation and reducing the workload on your heart. It supports your kidneys in flushing out toxins accumulated overnight. It lubricates your joints, which can ease morning stiffness, a common complaint for older adults. It even kickstarts your metabolism, helping your digestive system wake up and process whatever you eat next more efficiently. For those prone to constipation, another issue that becomes more common with age, a glass of water first thing can gently encourage regularity. In short, that simple act of drinking water upon waking rehydrates your entire system, setting a strong foundation for the day ahead. If you're not in the habit of morning hydration, don't worry, it's an easy fix. Start small. Keep a glass of water on your nightstand so it's the first thing you see when you wake up. If cold water doesn't appeal to you, try it at room temperature or even warm. Some people find warm water with a squeeze of lemon soothing and refreshing. The lemon adds a hint of flavor and a touch of vitamin C, but the real magic is in the water itself. Your body has been laboring all night to keep you alive and well. This is your chance to repay it with the hydration it craves. And here's a key point: don't wait until you feel thirsty to drink. Thirst is a late-stage signal. By the time it kicks in, your body is already well into dehydration territory. Prevention is far better than reaction. Building this habit can be transformative, especially for older adults who might not realize how much dehydration is quietly affecting them. Over time, you may notice clearer thinking, less fatigue, and even a brighter mood, all from a humble glass of water. It's a small step with outsized rewards. If you're still reading and finding these insights helpful, I'd love to know you're with me. Please comment with the number 2 to let me know you're here and engaged. If you are still watching this video and finding these lessons useful, please comment on number 2 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Thank you for your valuable time. The third mistake is drinking coffee on an empty stomach. For countless individuals, the day doesn't truly begin until that first aromatic cup of coffee is brewed and sipped. This ritual has been a cornerstone of mornings for decades. Wake up, stumble to the kitchen, brew a fresh pot, or pop a pod into the machine, and let the caffeine kickstart your energy and focus. The scent alone can feel like a warm hug from an old friend. But here's the catch. Drinking coffee without eating anything beforehand might be one of the sneakiest yet most damaging habits you can inflict on your body, especially if you're over 70 when your system becomes less forgiving of such oversights. Picture the scene when you first open your eyes in the morning. Your body has been fasting overnight, your stomach is empty, and your physiology is in a delicate, transitional state. Your blood sugar levels are at their lowest after hours without food, your digestive system is slowly waking up from its rest, and your cortisol, the hormone responsible for managing stress and alertness, is naturally peaking to help you get out of bed and face the day. This is all part of your body's finely tuned rhythm. Now, introduce a strong cup of coffee into this scenario. That jolt of caffeine doesn't just wake you up, it can send your cortisol levels soaring even higher, amplifying stress on your system. This hormonal spike, combined with coffee's natural acidity, can wreak havoc on an empty stomach, leading to immediate discomfort and, over time, more serious consequences like chronic acid reflux, gastritis, or persistent stomach irritation. If you've ever downed your morning coffee and then felt a wave of jitteriness, faint lightheadedness, or even a subtle queasiness that you couldn't quite pin down, that's your body waving a red flag. Coffee's acidity, caused by compounds like chlorogenic acids and caffeine itself, can irritate the stomach lining when there's no food to act as a buffer. For some, this irritation manifests as indigestion, a burning sensation in the chest, hello, heartburn, or that all-too-familiar acid reflux where you taste the coffee long after you've finished drinking it. For older adults, whose digestive systems may already be more sensitive due to age-related changes like reduced stomach acid regulation or slower gastric emptying, this daily assault can quietly escalate into a recurring problem. Worse, many don't connect the dots between their morning brew and these symptoms, chalking it up to just getting older or something they ate the night before. Let's take a real-world example to bring this home. Meet Daniel, a 75-year-old retiree with a lifelong love affair with coffee. For years, his morning routine was sacred. Roll out of bed, brew a strong black coffee, and sip it slowly while reading the news. Breakfast could wait an hour or two. He never thought twice about it. That is until he started noticing acid reflux creeping into his days more often, a sour taste in his mouth, a tight feeling in his chest, and sometimes even a hoarse voice. At first, he blamed spicy dinners for the inevitable wear and tear of aging. But during a routine checkup, his doctor asked about his morning habits and zeroed in on the coffee before food ritual. The explanation was simple. Without food to temper it, the coffee was overstimulating his stomach acid production and stressing his aging digestive tract. On the doctor's advice, Daniel experimented with a small change. Eating a light snack like a banana, a handful of almonds, or a slice of toast before his beloved brew. Within a couple of weeks, the reflux episodes dwindled, and he felt steadier throughout the morning. It wasn't about abandoning coffee, it was about giving his body a fighting chance. The takeaway here isn't that coffee is the enemy. Far from it. Coffee boasts well-documented benefits, from boosting mental clarity to providing antioxidants that combat inflammation. The issue is timing. By eating a little something first, you create a protective barrier in your stomach, neutralizing some of that acidity and giving your digestive system a gentler start. It also stabilizes your blood sugar, which can otherwise dip and spike erratically when caffeine hits an empty system, and it tempers the cortisol surge, reducing unnecessary stress. If you're someone who instinctively reaches for the coffee pot the second your feet hit the floor, consider a slight tweak to the routine. It doesn't have to be a full meal. Something as simple as a few crackers with peanut butter, a piece of whole grain toast, a yogurt, or a handful of berries can do the trick. Pair it with a glass of water to rehydrate after sleep, and you're setting yourself up for a smoother ride. Beyond digestion, there's another layer to this: how coffee affects your nerves and energy. Ever notice that some days, coffee leaves you buzzing with a restless edge, maybe even a touch of anxiety, while other days it's a calm, steady lift? Drinking it on an empty stomach often amplifies the former. Caffeine gets absorbed rapidly without food to slow it down, causing a sharp spike in energy, and sometimes adrenaline, that can leave you feeling wired but not necessarily productive. Then comes the inevitable crash an hour or two later, when you're reaching for a second cup to pull yourself out of the slump. Eating beforehand acts like a dimmer switch, slowing caffeine's absorption into your bloodstream and delivering a more even, sustained boost. For older adults, who might already be more sensitive to caffeine's effects as metabolism slows with age, this can mean the difference between feeling energized and feeling frazzled. So, tomorrow morning, before you take that first glorious sip, pause and ask yourself, have I given my body something to work with? It's a small shift, grabbing a quick bite before the brew, but the ripple effects can be profound. Your stomach will thank you, your nerves will steady, and you'll still get that coffee-fueled start you crave, just with a little more kindness to your system. After all, at 70 or beyond, it's not about overhauling your life. It's about fine-tuning the habits you've built over decades to keep you thriving. If you are still watching this video and finding these lessons useful, please comment on number 3 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Thank you for your valuable time. The fourth mistake is ignoring morning stiffness and moving too quickly. One of the most insidious and often overlooked errors people make after reaching the age of 70 is underestimating the profound impact of morning stiffness on their daily lives. As we age, it's common to wake up feeling a subtle, or sometimes not so subtle, tightness in the joints, muscles, or even the entire body. Many dismiss this sensation as an inevitable byproduct of growing older, shrugging it off with a resigned thought like, "This is just what happens when you're my age." They push through the discomfort, leaping out of bed or shuffling hurriedly to start their day, unaware that this seemingly minor decision could set the stage for significant consequences. One misjudged step, one awkward twist, or one moment of imbalance can spiral into acute pain, a debilitating injury, or even a life-altering fall that could have been prevented with a little more care. This stiffness isn't just a random annoyance. It's a signal from your body, rooted in physiological changes that intensify with age. While you sleep, your body enters a state of rest where movement is minimal, and blood circulation slows. During these hours of inactivity, your muscles tighten, and your joints, which rely on synovial fluid as a natural lubricant, don't get the motion they need to stay supple. For older adults, this effect is amplified. The body gradually produces less of this lubricating fluid, and cartilage, which cushions the joints, wears thinner over time. Add to that the potential for conditions like arthritis or decades of wear and tear, and it's no surprise that waking up feels like trying to move a rusty hinge. When you first open your eyes, your body isn't primed for sudden or vigorous activity. It's still in a state of recovery from the night. Standing up too fast, twisting to reach for something, or taking an unsteady step before your muscles and joints are ready can easily overtax your system, leading to strains, sprains, or worse. Picture a typical morning. You wake up, and there's that familiar tightness in your lower back, a creak in your knees, or a stubborn stiffness in your shoulders. Maybe it's mild enough that you barely notice it, or perhaps it lingers for a few minutes before fading as you get moving. You might tell yourself it's no big deal, just a fleeting inconvenience, and charge ahead with your routine. But consistently ignoring this warning sign can compound over time. What starts as a minor ache could evolve into chronic pain that limits your range of motion. Worse yet, it could culminate in a sudden injury that derails your independence. Statistics bear this out. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, falls are the leading cause of injury among adults over 65, and many of these incidents happen in the home, often in the early morning when people are still groggy and stiff. Consider the story of Ethan, a 78-year-old retiree who prided himself on staying active well into his later years. He walked daily, tended his garden, and rarely let age slow him down. Like many, he woke up most mornings with a touch of stiffness, particularly in his hips and knees, but he saw it as a badge of honor, a sign he was still pushing his body to do what it always had. He'd swing his legs out of bed, stand up briskly, and head straight for the bathroom or kitchen without a second thought. Then, one chilly morning, that routine betrayed him. Still half asleep and stiffer than usual, he misjudged his footing on the way to the bathroom. His stiff hip didn't respond as he expected, his balance faltered, and he crashed to the floor, fracturing his hip. What followed was a grueling recovery. Months of physical therapy, a walker, and a humbling loss of the independence he'd worked so hard to maintain, all because he hadn't paused to give his body the warm-up it desperately needed. The good news? Avoiding this mistake doesn't require a major overhaul of your life, just a small shift in how you start your day. You can begin before you even leave your bed, turning those first few minutes into a gentle wake-up call for your joints and muscles. Start with the smallest movements. Wiggle your fingers and toes to get the blood flowing, then slowly rotate your wrists and ankles in small circles to loosen them up. While still lying down, try a few knee lifts, bringing one knee toward your chest, holding it briefly, then switching sides, or perform slow, controlled leg movements to ease tension in your hips. Stretch your arms overhead, feeling the pull through your shoulders and upper back, and take a moment to breathe deeply, oxygenating your muscles. Once you're ready to sit up, do so gradually. Roll your shoulders forward and back, tilt your head side to side, and maybe add a seated twist to mobilize your spine. Only then, when you feel a bit more limber, should you stand. And even then, take it slow. This simple routine might take 5 minutes, 10 at most, but its impact is profound. Those extra moments can mean the difference between wobbling uncertainly and stepping into your day with stability and confidence. And don't stop at the warm-up. Be mindful of your first steps, especially in those early hours when your coordination might still be catching up. If you feel unsteady, keep a hand on a bedpost, wall, or nightstand for support. Avoid rushing, particularly in dim lighting or on your way to the bathroom, where slick floors or clutter can add risk. Slippers with good traction or going barefoot, if safe, can also help you feel grounded. The goal is to give your body the time it needs to transition from rest to activity, easing the strain on muscles and joints that aren't yet ready to bear your full weight or move dynamically. Beyond the immediate benefits, this habit builds a foundation for long-term mobility. Regular, gentle movement in the morning can improve circulation, reduce stiffness over time, and even help manage conditions like osteoarthritis. Pair it with staying hydrated, since dehydration can worsen stiffness, and you're setting yourself up for more active, pain-free days. So, the next time you wake up feeling that telltale tightness, Resist the urge to ignore it or power through. Listen to your body instead. Give it the care and patience it deserves to ease into motion. After all, staying active and independent in your later years doesn't start with grand gestures. It begins with the small, deliberate choices you make the moment you rise. As we finish up, take a moment to reflect on your morning routine. Have you ever unknowingly made one of these mistakes? The habits you establish in the morning set the tone for the entire day, and after 70, they become even more critical. A healthy start isn't about making radical changes. It's about small tweaks that protect your body, keep your mind clear, and help you feel your best from the start. Whether it's giving yourself a few extra seconds before leaving bed, making hydration a priority, being careful about how you drink your coffee, or easing into movement slowly, these small adjustments add up over time and can be the difference between staying active and facing preventable health issues. Many people believe that health problems in old age are unavoidable, but that isn't entirely true. The choices you make each morning greatly influence your longevity, energy, and overall well-being.